Welcome to the Ad Expert Podcast. I am so thrilled to have you joining us for this personalized deep dive today.
Yeah, it's great to be here. We've got a really exciting topic to get into.
We absolutely do. Because, our mission today is really to cut through all that digital noise out there and give you, the listener, a literal shortcut to mastering online visibility.
Which is so crucial right now, especially in a world of just massive information overload.
Right. It's like, imagine you have exactly 30 characters, which is what, about half a sentence?
Basically, yeah.
Half a sentence to convince a total stranger to hand over their credit card. If you fail, your business is just functionally invisible. But if you succeed, you can dominate your entire local market.
And it really is a brutal environment when you think about it. I mean, a business's entire success often hinges on those few dozen characters of text, and of course, all the data backing them up.
Exactly. So to figure out how this is actually done, we're digging into a really cool stack of sources today. First, we've got the About Us materials from AdExpert, which is an online marketing and web development agency based in Los Angeles.
A very competitive market, Los Angeles.
Oh, incredibly. And we're pairing that with a highly specific strategy article written on May 2nd, 2026 by their founder, Sam Ashrafi. And the article is called How to Write Winning Google Ads Headlines.
What's fascinating here is the sheer importance of these digital first impressions. You know, we spend so much time on the product itself, but the front-end user just sees a tiny string of text.
Right.
And that tiny string of text is actually the tip of an enormous data-driven spear.
Okay, let's unpack this, because before we even look at how to write that 30-character headline, we really need to understand who is deploying these tactics and, where they operate from.
Yeah, marketing definitely doesn't happen in a vacuum. You need a solid strategic foundation first.
Exactly. So taking AdExpert as our example, they have over 10 years of experience. And they operate out of 6300 Verial Avenue in Woodland Hills, California.
Right, so they have a very specific physical and strategic anchor.
Yes, and their service area is super targeted. They cover places like Woodland Hills, Calabasas, Winnetka, Tarzana, Encino, Sherman Oaks, West Hills, Reseda, Burbank, and Van Nuys.
And that hyper-local focus is so intentional.
It has to be, right? I mean, look at it this way. It's like throwing a neighborhood block party.
Yeah.
You wouldn't just drop a bunch of flyers out of an airplane over the entire country.
No, of course not. You'd waste a fortune.
Right. You would literally walk around and put those flyers on the exact doors of the people you want to attend. And I want you listening to think about that. How does that hyper-local targeting change the way a business actually speaks to its audience?
Well, it changes everything. And it's why that local focus matters so much. When you leverage past data and combine it with, competitor analysis, an agency can build a strategy that is incredibly customized for a specific market like Los Angeles.
And to do that, you need the right people at the wheel.
Yeah.
So at AdExpert, you have the founder and strategist, Sam Ashrafi, setting that big picture vision.
Yeah, and then you have Ehsan Nabavadi.
Right, the SEO and analytics expert.
Exactly. And Ehsan's whole focus is staying ahead of those crazy industry trends, which is a full-time job in itself.
It really is. And together, they offer this whole suite of services: Google Ads, website, and local SEO, social media, SEO content creation, and web development, specifically using WordPress and Shopify.
So they have the entire ecosystem covered.
Exactly. But now that we understand that foundation, let's zoom in on the very tip of that marketing spear you mentioned earlier, the Google Ads headline.
Yeah, because all that localized strategy means absolutely nothing if the first thing the user sees doesn't get a click.
Which brings us to what I'm calling the 30-character challenge. Because Google Ads imposes a very strict constraint. You get a maximum of 30 characters per headline.
And you cannot cheat that. If you exceed 30 characters, the system just truncates your message. It cuts it off.
Which looks terrible. So in Sam Ashrafi's article, he lays out a golden rule for this. He says you have to focus on the benefits, not just the features.
This is so critical. A lot of businesses get stuck pitching their features because they're proud of them.
Right. Like, the source gives a great example of this.
Yeah.
Let's say you're selling cloud storage. You shouldn't just say the feature, which might be 20 gigabytes storage.
Because, what does 20 gigabytes even mean to an average person? It's just a number.
Exactly. It's a technical feature. Instead, Ashrafi pitches the benefit. He suggests writing, store more photos safely.
Ah, that's so much better.
Isn't it? It completely changes the emotional resonance.
Yeah, because you aren't selling server space, you're selling the safety of family memories.
Totally. And the article also talks about using urgency and numbers to really grab attention. Things like limited time offer or shop today.
Numbers are incredibly powerful in text. Things like save 50% today, or boost sales by 30%. They give the eyes something concrete to latch onto.
And then there are advanced tactics too, like personalizing the headlines by adding the city names for local businesses, or using emotional triggers like exclusive or urgent.
Right, but you have to be careful with those.
Okay, actually, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I want to push back on this a little bit. Here's where it gets really interesting. If I have only 30 characters, right?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to cram in keywords,
Wow.
emotional triggers, numbers, and make sure it's a benefit, doesn't that just sound kind of robotic or like desperate?
It definitely can if you do it wrong. That's a very common trap.
Like if I read an ad that just screams, buy now, save 50% Burbank exclusive, I'm running the other way.
And you should, but if we connect this to the bigger picture, the 30 characters aren't just a megaphone to yell at people, they act as a filter.
A filter, what do you mean?
Well, it's not about tricking someone into clicking, it's about signaling absolute relevance to the user's specific search intent and doing it in a fraction of a second.
Okay, so if I'm actively searching for an emergency plumber, I don't care if the ad is a beautiful poem. I just want to know you're in my city and you're open right now.
Exactly. The intent is already there. The constraints actually force you to be clear, not clever.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So let's say you write a great headline and you get the click. What happens next? Because a great headline is just the hook.
Yeah, the front-end hook. But the back-end experience is where the money is actually made or lost.
Which brings us to alignment. And this is where so many headlines fail, right? When they aren't supported by the rest of the ecosystem.
It is a massive pitfall. You have an absolute necessity to align the headline with the landing page and the rest of the ad copy.
It's like, okay, think of a bait-and-switch storefront. Imagine you're walking down the street and you see this huge, bright neon sign that promises fresh pizza.
I'm already hungry.
Right. So you get excited, you walk through the door, and it's a dry cleaner.
I would be so confused.
You turn around and walk right out. And I want the listener to think about the last time they clicked an ad and immediately hit the back button just because the landing page didn't match the promise.
We've all done it. And the problem is Google watches you do that.
They do.
Oh, absolutely. This consistency directly impacts what Google calls your quality score.
Okay, let's talk about the quality score. How does that work?
Well, the quality score is basically Google grading your ad's relevance. Google's whole ecosystem is built on trust. If your ad breaks the promise of its headline, the search engine loses credibility just as much as your business does.
Because if Google keeps sending me to bad links, I'm going to stop using Google.
Precisely. So if your headline says fresh pizza, but the page is about dry cleaning, users bounce. Google sees that high bounce rate, penalizes your quality score, and your conversion rates absolutely tank.
Wow. Which is why AdExpert has such a specific approach to precise copywriting. They aren't just writing nice sentences. They are meeting strict Google algorithm requirements.
Right. They use semantic keywords and high search phrases to make sure the algorithm knows exactly what the page is about while still sounding human.
And the article points out some major mistakes to avoid here, too, like keyword stuffing, which just confuses users and ruins the flow.
It's unreadable when people just jam keywords together.
Totally. And another mistake is vague messaging, like just saying, best product ever.
That means nothing to the algorithm, and it means nothing to the customer. It's completely misaligned copy.
So we've got the human psychology, the 30 characters, and we've got the algorithmic strictness of the landing page alignment. But things change so fast online.
Almost instantly, yeah.
How does an agency actually know if any of this is working in real time? Which leads us directly to the nervous system of all this. Data, tracking, and artificial intelligence.
Yeah, you cannot just set these ads and walk away. You'd bleed money.
And that's why AdExpert uses live tracking and reporting. It gives them a complete bird's-eye view of campaigns across everything: social media, email, paid ads, and website analytics.
It's all connected. And having that live data gives you the ability to make data-driven decisions and optimize campaigns completely on the fly to maximize your ROI.
Because you can see exactly what's failing and what's succeeding right in that moment.
Exactly. And this is where continuous A/B testing comes in. You run 2 different headline variations at the same time to see which one the audience actually prefers.
So what does this all mean? To me, running a campaign with live tracking is like flying a modern commercial plane with a full digital dashboard. But running without it is like flying blindfolded.
Yeah, that's a perfect analogy. You're just hoping you don't crash.
But, you know, they're also heavily integrating AI now. AI-powered customer targeting, personalized marketing campaigns, advanced analytics.
It's incredibly powerful tech.
It is, but I have a bit of a philosophical question about that. With AI doing all the targeting and the analytics,
Yeah.
is marketing becoming less of an art and more of just like a cold math equation?
This raises an important question, and it's something the industry talks about a lot right now. But honestly, AI and live tracking don't replace the human element.
No.
Not at all. They don't replace the need to actually understand your customer. They simply provide a real-time compass.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so that human creativity, like figuring out that perfect 30-character emotional benefit we talked about earlier, that creativity is delivered to the exact right person at the exact right time.
Okay, so the AI is the delivery mechanism, but the human empathy is the actual cargo.
Exactly. You still need a human to know that people want to keep their family photos safe. The AI just finds the person who needs to hear it.
That is such a great way to put it. Well, let's do a quick recap of the journey we just took you on today.
It was a lot of ground to cover.
It really was. We started all the way out with the localized strategy of a Woodland Hills agency, understanding how geographic focus changes the game.
Then we zoomed way in on the psychology of that tiny 30-character headline, focusing on benefits, not features.
Right. And from there, we looked at why those headlines fail if the landing page alignment is off, and how that impacts Google's quality score.
And finally, we wrapped up with how AI and live tracking act as the nervous system connecting all of it.
So the big takeaway for you listening is this. True online visibility requires balancing human empathy with technical precision. You can't have one without the other.
You really can't. And actually, before we go, I have a final thought for you to mull over. Something that kind of builds on what we just discussed about AI personalization.
Oh, I love these. Lay it on us.
Well, if AI can already analyze data on the fly to target and personalize campaigns, how far away are we from a future where that 30-character Google Ads headline isn't written by a human at all?
Wait, really? Like entirely machine-generated?
Yeah, imagine a system where the ad is dynamically generated in real time, instantly creating a completely unique sentence to specifically match the psychological profile of the single individual searching in that exact microsecond.
Oh, wow. So my ad would look completely different from your ad, even if we type the exact same search.
Exactly. It completely changes what copywriting even means.
That is slightly terrifying, also absolutely fascinating to think about. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a blast.
We really hope this helped clear up some of the mystery behind those little text ads you see every day. Stay curious, keep seeking out those aha moments, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.